The classroom was always full of noise before the teacher arrived. Students talked loudly, laughed with their friends, and shared stories about their day. In the middle of all that noise sat a quiet boy named Daniel. He always chose the last seat near the window where he could watch the world outside. While other students tried to get attention, Daniel preferred to stay silent. Many people thought he was simply shy, but the truth was that Daniel felt invisible. He believed that no one expected anything great from him. Daniel had never been a strong student. His grades were always among the lowest in the class. Whenever teachers announced test results, Daniel's name was usually near the bottom. Some students laughed about it, and others simply ignored him. Over time, those reactions slowly built a belief inside Daniel's mind that he was not smart enough to succeed. Instead of trying harder, he began accepting failure as a normal part of his life. Life at home was not easy either. Daniel lived with his mother in a small apartment on the edge of the city. His father had left when he was very young, and since then, his mother had been working long hours to support them both. Every evening she returned home tired from work. She loved Daniel deeply, but she did not have enough time or energy to guide him with his studies. Because of this, Daniel spent most evenings alone in his room. Sometimes he watched television to pass the time. Sometimes he scrolled through his phone for hours without realizing how quickly time was passing. Occasionally he opened his textbooks, but the lessons felt confusing and difficult. Slowly, Daniel began believing something dangerous, that success in school simply was not meant for him. That belief became stronger with every failed exam. One afternoon, during math class, something unexpected happened. The teacher, Mr. Carter, walked into the classroom, carrying a stack of exam papers. The room quickly became quiet as students waited nervously to see their results. One by one, the papers were handed out. Some students smiled proudly when they saw their scores, while others looked disappointed. When Daniel received his paper, he slowly looked at the top of the page. Written in red ink was the number 32 out of 100. It was another failure. A few students nearby whispered and laughed quietly. Daniel felt embarrassed, but he didn't say anything. He simply folded the paper and placed it inside his bag as if he had already expected that result. Mr. Carter noticed Daniel's reaction. Unlike many other students, Daniel did not complain or try to explain himself. After class ended, the teacher asked Daniel to stay for a moment. Daniel walked slowly toward the teacher's desk, expecting another lecture about working harder. Instead, Mr. Carter spoke calmly. He asked Daniel a simple question. "Do you know why you failed this test?" Daniel looked down at the floor and replied quietly that he simply wasn't good at studying. The teacher gently shook his head and explained that intelligence was not the real problem. According to him, Daniel was missing something far more important, the habit of discipline. Mr. Carter explained that success does not always belong to the smartest person in the room. Instead, it often belongs to the person who shows up every day and puts in consistent effort. Then he gave Daniel a simple challenge. For the next 30 days, Daniel had to study for 1 hour every day. No excuses, no distractions, and no skipping days. Just one focused hour. Daniel was not sure if such a small change could really make a difference. However, something about the teacher's confidence made him curious. That evening, when he returned home, he sat at his desk and opened his books. He set a timer for 1 hour and began studying. At first, it felt very difficult. His mind kept drifting toward his phone, and many problems looked confusing. But he forced himself to continue until the timer rang. When the hour finally ended, Daniel realized that he had completed more work than he usually did in an entire evening. The next day, he repeated the same routine, 1 hour of focused study. Then he did it again the following day. Slowly, the habit began to feel normal. Days turned into weeks, and Daniel started noticing small improvements in his understanding. The lessons that once seemed impossible now began making sense. His confidence slowly started growing, and for the first time he felt that maybe he had the ability to succeed after all. At school, no one noticed a big change yet. Daniel was still the quiet student sitting in the back of the classroom. Eventually, the next exam arrived. Daniel felt nervous, but also slightly hopeful. When the teacher returned the graded papers, Daniel looked carefully at his score. This time, the red number at the top was very different. It said 67 out of 100. It was the highest score Daniel had ever received. As Mr. Carter walked past his desk, he quietly said one word that Daniel would remember for the rest of his life: discipline. From that moment forward, Daniel protected his 1-hour study habit as if it were the most important part of his day. No matter how tired he felt or how busy life became, he never skipped that hour. Months passed, and Daniel's progress became impossible to ignore. Teachers began noticing his improvement, and classmates who once laughed at him started asking him for help. Despite all the attention, Daniel remained humble and quiet. He understood something most people didn't, that real success grows slowly through small habits repeated every single day. Years later, Daniel graduated from school with excellent grades and earned a scholarship to a respected university. On the day of his graduation ceremony, he looked out into the audience and saw his mother watching proudly with tears in her eyes. In that moment, Daniel realized something powerful. His success did not begin on that stage. It began years earlier, in a quiet room, with a simple decision to study for 1 disciplined hour every single day.